Time for lunch now. Let's get over to the kitchen and say hello to ABC7 Culinary Director Judi Gallagher. Judi?
Well, I think all of us enjoy a homemade brownie, whether it's peanut butter brownies, regular or cream cheese. Today we're going to make espresso brownies. What I love about this recipe, I found it in Cooking Light, just light adjustments, but it almost has a shortbread crust to it. So it's like a two-layer. You can always frost them if you want, but since I'm more of a non-frosting person, I'm just going to dust them with some powdered sugar. We're going to melt up some good quality chocolate here, and we're going to make it a two-step process like I said. I'll teach you how to make the crust using our beans to weight it down, and then we'll just explode it with flavor with cinnamon and pure vanilla extract, and of course, espresso. So stay with me throughout the hour as I bring you espresso brownies straight from the oven. Okay, I've taken a 9x13 pan and brushed it liberally with melted butter. So now what I have are the equivalent about 2 1/4 cups of flour, and then I'm going to do 6 heaping tablespoons of light brown sugar. It's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, this step of making the shortbread, you could even do the night before. And I will show you why, because it takes a little bit of time to bake. Then you have to, when you first make this, it has to go in the refrigerator. So we've mixed the flour with a little kosher salt, always using salt when baking. Now we're going to slowly, just with this fork, add a little bit of melted butter, a little bit at a time, 2 sticks. Again, I'm always going for grass-fed, French butter, Irish butter. It's richer, and when you're baking, boy, you just want to bring that out. So you can see it comes out very crumbly, and that's exactly how we want it. A few more, and then we're going to bring it into the actual dish. There we go. Okay, so let's give this now. At this point, I'm going to put down the fork because I really want to get a feel for it. It's kind of like when I'm making apple cobbler, and I want to get that feel of what the dough looks like. So just kind of break it up, keep it very crumbly with your hands. And then we're going to take it and go right over to our dish that we buttered. This is the time where you really do want to butter instead of using the Pam or something like that. You want that extra flavor. It's just going to be delicious. Now you can line the bottom plate with parchment as well if you'd like, but this is going to be just fine. So basically what we're going to do, I was just going to push it down evenly and then get a little more on those sides. This is going to go in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes to firm up. Once it's in the refrigerator and really firms up, what you're going to do is you're going to take parchment paper and either a pie weight or your black beans, and then that's going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. So that part's done, right? Easy enough. So when we come back, we'll do the double boiler with the melted chocolate, bring the butter into it, add the eggs, do the next layer, and you are going to love this recipe. I have a base already done, so when you come back, we are ready to go. Okay, so the shortbread crust has completely cooled. I had one put in the oven with that pie weight after we chilled it down. So you'll see it's a little bit soft in the center, but crispy on the edges, which is exactly how you want it. So now we're going to take 1 1/2 sticks of butter. So there's a lot of butter in this, but you know what? That's what makes treats so good. So only have 2 instead of 4. So one at a time. We'll start to render that melted down. While these are starting to melt, we're going to add about 2 teaspoons of vanilla and then a tablespoon or more. I want it a little bit stronger than normal, so I'm going to go about 1.25 tablespoons of espresso powder, and then we're going to add some good cinnamon. And I always think that you can never have enough cinnamon. So putting that heat up, melting the butter, and now, oh, the cinnamon that flavor, just as this is melting, is unbelievable. And you can see you don't need a big pot at this point to just let that melt down. Now we have the equivalent of 3 eggs, and we have to be very careful as we add the eggs. We're going to pull this off the burner in a moment because you don't want to cook the eggs, and that can happen very quickly. So let's give it another minute here just to get that butter to melt down, and then we can pull it off and start adding the eggs. Okay, so for time's sake, we're going to go ahead right now just to show you, okay? So little bits at a time and stir fast. Get that going. So basically, in fact, I'm going to switch out and use the fork to keep that movement going. And this butter is starting to melt just as it is. So once you get that temperature, it's going to be really good. Make sure you're using high quality dark chocolate pieces. That's another thing you want to make sure you do. So in between the eggs, looks like we have 1 left to go in. We need the sugar. So there we go, 2 cups of sugar. And when we come back, this is going to go poured onto the shortbread in the oven 20 minutes, and then we will check it and go for another 20. I'll be back to cut into it and show you the final dessert. It's so good.